Hello Year 4, it's Mrs. Blues with your English lesson for Friday the 22nd of January. Firstly, well done for the introductions that you wrote yesterday for our new innovated Escape to Pompeii story. They were really fantastic and we really enjoyed reading your work, so thank you for sending those through to us. So I wanted to say well done, but also could you just take a moment to read back what you wrote yesterday and see how many fronted adverbials you managed to use. We did a lot of work on fronted adverbials last term, and I know we're quite confident with using them now. So just have a look back and see what you managed to include in your writing. So just to remind you, our writing target this term is to use expanded noun phrases, okay? And we'll just warm up today by thinking about expanded noun phrases a little bit more. So I've got the beginning of a description here to describe the girl in this picture. I wonder if you could help me to add to my nouns to make them more expanded noun phrases. So I've got the girl was trapped in the jar. She pressed her hands to the glass and screamed. So what I've written's okay, isn't it? It explains what the picture is, but it doesn't really give me much detail about those nouns. So I wonder if you could help me to get a bit more description in there to make an expanded noun phrase. So you might like to pause the video here and write down your ideas in your exercise book, or if you're with somebody or in school with the key worker group, you could have a discussion about your ideas now. Okay, I hope you had a chance to gather some ideas together, either writing them down or discussing them. I was thinking about this girl and how I could describe her. We can see her in the picture there. I can see she's got brown hair, she's got a dress on. She looks maybe like she's in her 20s or 30s maybe. So I could talk about her age. So I'm going to add some description here about the girl to make more of an expanded noun phrase. So I've got the girl, I think I could do better than that. So the girl, I might say, the young girl with, rather than brown hair, I might say brunette because that word's better, isn't it? That's more like rich language. So the young girl with brunette hair was trapped in the, now I think I can do better than just jar. So I can see it's a glass jar. And it's quite tall actually, isn't it? So I might say in the tall, glass jar. She pressed her hands to the glass and screamed. So the noun in that sentence is glass again, isn't it? So I wonder if I could add a few words there. She pressed her hands to the, perhaps I could say transparent. It is transparent, we can see through the glass. I might say cold as well. Sometimes glass is really cold when you touch it, isn't it? So to the cold, transparent glass and screamed. There. So let's just highlight those noun phrases just to make sure that we have made them into expanded noun phrases. So I've got the young girl with brunette hair, the tall glass jar, and the cold transparent glass. Great, so I've included some expanded noun phrases now in my writing. Thank you for your ideas on that. Let's have a look at what we're doing today then. So our Walt is just like yesterday. We are going to use a range of rich vocabulary, including expanded noun phrases, to write our innovative story. So yesterday we were working on our introductions and they started really well. So thank you for those. So let's carry on today and try and write the next 1 or 2 paragraphs of our story, okay? You might like to take a moment now to look back at your story mountains where we planned our innovative story. So here's an example of our story mountain. So we're looking today at the second box. I wonder if you can remember what we call that section of our writing. That's right, we call it the build-up of our writing. So we've had our introduction, we've ticked that off, and now we're thinking about the build-up. So this is the section where we really want to start adding some atmosphere and building some tension in the story. So we really want to interest and engage our reader so they know that something exciting or interesting is about to happen in the story, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play you a video about Pompeii, and in particular about the day that Mount Vesuvius erupted in Pompeii. Okay, we're going to watch just 2.5 minutes of it, and it will just give you an idea of what life was like that morning, and how things started to happen that morning, and what people experienced, because that's what we'll need to describe in our writing today. So what did they see, hear, feel, smell, all those sorts of experiences? Have a look at the video and see if you can use your imagination to start gathering some ideas for how you could describe what happened in your writing to really build up that tension for your reader. Okay, so I'll just share the video with you now. Okay, we'll leave the video there, but hopefully that just introduced you to what life was like the morning that Mount Vesuvius erupted and what people experienced first. So you could see the camera shaking because the ground was shaking. You could see ash and bits dropping from the sky, and you could hear loud noises, people starting to scream and panic because they didn't know what was happening. It also got very dark, didn't it? Did you notice the light changing in the video? All of a sudden got quite dark, and in the distance above the mountain you could see smoke billowing out of the mountain, out of the volcano. Okay, so we're going to think about that section of our writing today, the build-up. So use the ideas from the video that we've just seen to really build that tension and excite your reader. So here's what a good one looks like. Okay, so I'm going to carry on reading for you an example from Escape from Pompeii. So as I'm reading, you might like to use your polishing pen or any pen or anything you've got at home to just jot down any words or phrases or ideas that you would like to include in your writing. Okay, this will really help you when you come to write yours today. If you're in school with our key worker group, perhaps jot them down on your whiteboards with your whiteboard pens. Okay, so I'll read through the 2 paragraphs together now, and then I'll just pause while you jot down some words, and then there's a little bit more to read as well. Okay, so jotting down any words, phrases, anything you want to magnify for your writing. Suddenly the earth shook. Everyone in the amphitheatre gazed around in panic and amazement. Crash! Tiles from the roof above fell and smashed at their feet. Birds flew up into the sky, squawking fearfully. What was going on? An earthquake? More tremors? Tranio and Livia stood rooted to the spot in terror. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Get out of here, yelled a man, looking at the cracks that were beginning to appear in the walls of the building. It's not safe. Tranio and Livia moved fast. Out into the cobbled streets they fled, to see chaos all around them. Clouds of smoke and ash billowed into the air, making it difficult to see where they were going. Everything looked different. Running towards them in all directions through the clouds came people shouting, goats and barking dogs. The desperate cries of mothers calling out to lost children rang in their ears. Then bang, boom! Thunderous, terrifying noises, the loudest they'd ever heard. Look, Tranio, it's the mountain, cried Livia, pointing fearfully. We need to escape, she pleaded. Now! Looking into each other's eyes, they knew they must stay together. Okay, just take a moment then to jot down any of the lovely language that we've heard there. Okay, there's some really rich language that you can magpie for your writing. Try really to pick words that you wouldn't usually use as well. Things like amphitheatre are really lovely in there, and all of that fantastic description about the sounds and sights that Tranio and Livia were seeing. I'll just give you a moment to jot down some ideas that you want to magpie. Okay, I'm going to carry on. We will just read a little bit more, but you probably won't get as much done today. But I just want you to see where our writing is going, where we're really leading up to the problem section, okay? So your build-up will lead up to this sort of problem, okay? So again, anything you want to magpie from here is fine. Jot that down in your exercise book or on your whiteboard or on a piece of paper you've got at home, okay? Galloping hand in hand, they stumbled through the now dusty streets, which hours before had been bustling with cheerful tradesmen and shoppers. Not anymore. An ash-covered wine cart ahead of them wobbled with yet another tremor. Smash! 3 large amphoras of red wine fell violently to the floor, spilling their contents like blood. Watch yourselves, children. Best to head home, I reckon, called the wine seller as they sped past him, clutching each other. Could they go home? A few minutes later, the 2 children passed through the deserted forum. Rumble, crack. There were no people standing, talking, or listening. On the steps, an elderly woman in a filthy toga sat wailing loudly, confused as she watched the buildings crumble around her. Tranio looked up. The city looked different under the grey sky. The sun was invisible. Everything was covered in dust and ash. What about Mother in the bakery? Asked Livia sadly. Tranio did not reply. He felt helpless. Would the gods save them from this horror? Squeezing Livia's hand as tightly as he could, he led her out of the square and down the hill towards the harbour. This might be their only chance. Okay, so again, some really lovely description there. I really like the way the author has put in sort of sound effects as we go through. So we've got smash, rumble, crack. We call those words onomatopoeias, don't we? So you might like to magpie some of those for your writing, and you could put those throughout your sentences in your writing as well. I really think it creates that tension and atmosphere that we're looking for. Don't forget as well, it would be good to include some dialogue. So we've got Tranio and Livia talking to each other and people warning them of what to do as well. So you might like to magpie some dialogue ideas here. Okay, I'm going to move on then and show you how we're going to set our work out today. So last lesson, I asked you to end with the sentence, then something horrific happened. Okay, so we're going to carry on from there. You'll need to leave a line or two because we're starting a new paragraph. I would like you to put the short date in the margin for me. So 22.01.21 in the margin there. Okay, so that's what it should look like in your book, wherever you got to from last lesson, but the end sentence should be, then something horrific happened. So what do we need to focus on today? Think back, what were our steps to success last lesson? What are we looking for in your writing? So again, you could discuss this if you're with somebody, or if you're working on your own, just think to yourself, what are we trying to include in our writing? So your steps to success, don't forget, are a clear plot. Okay, we want to see that story unfolding and the tension building up today. We want powerful verbs, so powerful doing words. We want adjectives to describe, and we've seen some really lovely adjectives in the writing that I just read. We want paragraphs, so you'll probably be writing 2 paragraphs a day at least in your build-up. So we would like to see your ideas separated out into paragraphs. You're writing in paragraphs. And we want some conjunctions to join your clauses together. And also don't forget those fronted adverbials. We are very good at them now, so just remember those, and don't forget your commas after your fronted adverbials. Okay, so let's have a look at mine then. So I ended with then something horrific happened. I've put my short date in the margin, like I've asked you to, and this is how I'm going to start my build-up section. So I've put without warning, comma, so a nice fronted adverbial. The stone steps creaked. Dogs began to bark loudly and the market stalls shook. So I'm just trying to start introducing my reader to what's happening. Okay, if we think back to the video we saw, what other things happened at that time? We saw the camera shaking and the ground shaking. We saw things falling from the sky, didn't we? Tiles from the roofs, so we could add something like that in. It also got suddenly very dark, didn't it? So perhaps I should add something like that in. I think I'm going to try and start my next sentence with another fronted adverbial. And I'm going to put from the top of the stone buildings, tiles began to fall away and crash to the ground. I really like those onomatopoeia words. They really set the scene, didn't they? So from the top of the stone building, tiles began to fall away and crash to the ground. Then I think I'm going to magpie that author's ideas and have bang, crash. I think I'm going to have some dialogue here because I need to remember that my character is going to probably be worried and asking or thinking about what's happening. So I think I'm going to have what's happening, question mark, close my inverted commas. And my character was called Augustus, don't forget. So try to remember what your character was and include that name. So what's happening, Augustus cried. Now, how could he cry it? He could cry, sadly doesn't really go here, does it? He wouldn't be sad, he'd be more panicked. So, oh, hang on, I've spelled Augustus wrong. I must read back my writing. So Augustus cried, perhaps helplessly. Yeah, I think that would work. What's happening? Augustus cried helplessly. I'm going to have another fronted adverbial here. I'm going to have above him, comma, the sky. I'm going to have the vast, no. What shall I have? What word could describe the sky? I'm sure you guys could think of a brilliant word here. I might say morning sky, because it happened in the morning, didn't it? So the morning sky grew dark, and I kind of want a word that's, I know. The morning sky grew dark and threatening. Above him, the morning sky grew dark and threatening as ash and soot. I'm going to say as I might add some more description there actually. I think I could do a bit better than that. So I might say as black ash and thick soot. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Black ash and thick soot billowed. I love that word. Billowed from the once gentle Mount Vesuvius. I think I'm going to add a powerful sentence here. The mountain was not gentle anymore. She was deadly. Something like that. Okay, so you can see I'm really building up that tension. I've talked about the sounds that my character can hear. I've had my character saying something. I've had ash filling the sky, so I've thought about the lighting in that setting and what I would see around me. So really try to describe every aspect of what was happening at that time to really build the tension for your reader. Okay, I'm sure you've got much better ideas than me, but I hope that's helped you to see how you can continue your writing today. As I said, you're probably going to be writing at least 2 paragraphs today. So once you've done one that's a decent length like mine there, don't forget to leave a line and go on to the next paragraph, okay? And you can describe a bit more about how your character responds to the threat and also what else they see or hear, okay? So when you have finished, don't forget, check again against our steps to success, see what you've managed to include, but don't worry if you haven't included everything, because this isn't the end of our writing. We've still got to move on to our problem and resolution, okay? So you've still got opportunities to include some of those skills if you haven't managed to include them today, but do try and include as much as you can, okay? Keep going back and reading as you write, and don't forget to use your polishing pens if you're in school, or if you're at home, perhaps you could use a nice gel pen or a crayon or pencil to go back and edit your work as well after you've finished. Okay, I will leave it on this page for you. So if you're in school with Mrs. Chamberlain, she'll pause it on this page for you. And if you're at home, you can pause it on this page, or you might like to go back and pause it on one of the pages of examples that I shared with you as well. Good luck with your writing, guys. Keep up the good work, and I'll look forward to reading your work later. Bye.